Hello everyone, this is Tom. Before we begin, I wanted to remind you that YouTube deleted our channel a few months ago, as free speech and truth is no longer acceptable in our society. But they will not push us aside. This is a new channel we created to keep informing you about the things major media channels will never show you. We are now moving away from YouTube, but for the videos that are still being uploaded here, we appreciate your support. Don't forget to subscribe and hit a like button. Now let's begin. Russia's Arctic Road AK Northern Sea Route is one of the most important future trading routes. I think this story and its importance has been underestimated in the media. Maybe intentionally. Russians certainly won't speak about this loudly. It's not in their best interests. Russia is building a huge future trade route that will be an alternative to the Suez Canal. It's called the Russians' Northeast Trade Route. Now there's not much information about this, and for a good reason. It single-handedly can make Russia not one of the superpowers, but possibly the superpower of the world if they will play their cards right. Now I've done many presentations about this, but let me explain in the shortest way possible. Putin said this many times that he wants to make Russia a great Arctic power. He has invested billions in this. Now with polar ice melting, it has created brand new opportunities for Russia to make this route a strategic asset. Russian ships were able to travel this route without breaking the ice. This is a route which can control the trade between Asia and the West. And not only, it is shorter, cleaner, and way more efficient. For example, 27 days with standard route Vs, just 16 days with Arctic route, with gains of 16 million on 10 ships per travel depending on the destination. Today, Suez is a dominant canal we use for trade between Asia and Europe. But it is a pain. Why? 3 choke points: Malacca, Bab el-Mandeb, and Suez Canal itself. All 3 choke points are called choke points for a reason. Narrow, can't hold enough traffic, full of pirates, and they are a huge problem. One of the choke points goes down for whatever reason, and all of them go down. We saw what happened with the Panama Canal and the ship that got stuck there. That is millions in losses. Now, the Arctic has no such problems. This war is not just about war money. It is also very much about trade and knowing what's coming for them. That is why in early phases of the war, they so adamantly persuade the idea of regime change in Russia. Because if you have no control over a country that in a few decades will have much more power of trade routes than you do, what do? You can't invade Russia. No capability plus nuclear war will be inevitable. So the best option is for you to put your man in power in Russia. That way you control what happens to Russian resources and curve yourself a brand new trade route. Only you and your puppet in the Kremlin will get the gains. We know how long the Panama Canal was directly controlled by the Americans with their puppet. We also know if any day America wishes to close Malacca choke point, they can. That will stop significant amount of Chinese trade immediately, and that is a huge deal for China. So obviously, China will run to this new opportunity that Russia is offering. That is why both Russia and China are heavily investing in the route. Now that is not all. Here are the facts that most people do not talk about. Tax advantages. It gives Russia an advantage on taxes it can collect by allowing ships to pass through the region. As they say, control the seas and you control the world. And of course, all the benefits this route can give, there is much more under the ice. There are huge resources that Russia can benefit from. The US and German geological companies' analysis estimated around 13 of the world's undiscovered oil. Now think about this, in a few decades that puts Russia as one of the richest countries in the oil reserves period. Richer than the United States. There are many other resources underneath the ice, but oil is one of the most important. The United States is very aware of this, globalists. Those globalists that are not in the camp of Putin. That is why they are so adamant trying to get rid of Putin. They don't care about Ukraine. They care about regime change in Russia more than they care about deterrence. Citing research by the Netherlands Bureau for Economic Policy Analysis, Rassel said that 2/3 of the world trade that passes through the Suez Canal, which is 8% of the global trade, will be rerouted to the NIZAR. The economic potential of the route was realized as early as the 16th century, and even then a Russian was involved. The Venetian explorer Sebastian Cabot, along with a Moscow diplomat, proposed to use it as a passage to China. The British and Dutch looked into the route at roughly the same time, sensing its potential advantages in trade, but severe conditions and lack of technology intervened. Much later, the Soviet Union used it for moving goods in the 1930s and in World War II. Hundreds of vessels transported 4 million tons of cargo via the route. Today, bypassing the Suez Canal reduces shipping distances from East Asia to Western markets by close to 40s, from roughly 23,000 to 14,000 kilometers, 14,300 to 8,700 miles. It would thus decrease shipping lead times by 10 to 32, said Andrei Vinogradov, Associate Professor and Deputy Head of the Operations Management and Logistics Department at Moscow's National Research University, Higher School of Economics Graduate School of Business. As I said, the Northern Sea Route is geopolitically one of the most important regional projects in the world. The reasons are obvious: its geographical location, the consequences of climate change, natural resources. All those elements point out the economic importance of the Northern Sea Route area. So, the question we should be asking is Ukraine a victim of economic war? Because the U.S. is losing its status as the only hegemony in the world.